Yeah, we back. Today we're going to be talking about some developments coming out of Senegal, right? Now, brothers, I'm sure you've heard conversations, especially in regards to beauty standards. You've heard women say things like black men don't appreciate black women's natural hair, right? Now, of course, I've always pushed back on that, but you've definitely heard that many times before. I'm sure you have.
Guys will be like, oh, I love natural hair. Da, da, da. I'm just like, no, you love a type of natural hair.
Let's
Don't
be
lie.
real. Black men say they love natural hair, but when the twist out shrinks, the curls frizz, and the wash and go is a wash and no, the love seems to disappear. Now let's be real, there's a difference between loving natural hair and loving the idea of it. Because when they hype it up, they're not picturing 4C kinky coily hair, shrinkage, a short afro. No, they're thinking about that shoulder length, loose curl, type 3, you know, the type that fits the beauty standard.
All right, we back. Now, like I said, today we're going to be heading to Senegal, right? The regime of President Faye and Prime Minister Sonko. Now, listen, I have a lot to say today. Now, take a look up on the screen. As you can see, this article came out the other day. Senegal's Grand Theater bans wigs, weaves, and skin bleaching in a new cultural policy, right? So as you can see, the regime in Senegal is fighting back against the so-called alleged European beauty standards. We are embracing our women's natural hair, right? We are encouraging them to embrace their natural hair, right? As you can see. Now, they cannot say black men don't appreciate the natural hair because, as you can see, the regime in Senegal is taking steps to actually put that at the forefront, right? The so-called beauty standard that they talk about, we're going to put it at the forefront and we're going to promote it, and that's what we're going to embrace. Now, let's continue. Let's jump into the article. The National Grand Theater of Senegal has issued a directive banning the wearing of hair weaves, wigs, and the practice of skin bleaching among the staff. The internal memo signed by the director on July 4th cites the institution's commitment to upholding and promoting Pan-African values. This measure is intended to preserve the image of the institution, which must promote Pan-African values by one of its missions, according to the memo. The Director General also emphasized the importance of strictly enforcing the decision. Right? So we are going against the alleged established beauty standard to embrace the African beauty standard. Now, take a look up on the screen. Look at this headline that came out a day after. The wig ban only lasts a day in Senegal after backlash. Let's jump into the article. A sudden and swiftly reversed ban on wigs, hair extensions, and skin lightening products at an iconic theater in Senegal's capital has ignited a widespread public backlash, laying bare the deep tensions around identity, gender politics, and cultural nationalism in the West African nation. The internal memo was stamped by the Ministry of Culture and issued on Monday by the director of the Grand Theater of Dakar. He said the move was to promote Pan-African values and protect the institution's cultural image. But critics accused him of policing women's bodies under the guise of cultural pride, and the ban was reversed the following day. Now, we got to have a conversation, right? We got to have a conversation. Now, I've always said this conversation regarding natural hair and the European beauty standard, that has nothing to do with black men, right? But I feel like sometimes we get made out to be the scapegoat in regards to the topic, and they say, well, the reason why this happens is because black men like it, or black men prefer it, or black men want it. And I've always pushed back against that and say, no, stop lying on us. Stop selling lies, right? That's not true, right? But I'm sure we've heard it all before.
I find it very disturbing when a black man doesn't like my natural hair. I find it very odd and very weird. Make it make sense because look at your hair, look at your mom's hair, your grandma, your great grandma, but you don't like natural, but you like natural hair, but just not black natural hair. That to me is a turnoff because I'm like, look where you came from. I feel like I've always had an issue with that. With black men. I've had black men like my natural hair, but I also have had black men that just did not like it. They would rather me be in a wig like this. You know, wearing like a different type of curly wig. It's just weird. Like, I don't get it. This is who I am at the end of the day without the wig, you know, without the makeup, without all this. Like, this is who I am and this is who you are. This is how we are. So I just find it very weird when I meet men that don't like my natural hair. Like, that is a big turnoff. And I'll be so quick to chunk up the deuces like, all right, bet.
Now we back. Now, I've always said before, Black men typically get made out to be the scapegoat in regards to this conversation, but I've always pushed back against that and said, no, the reason why you are wearing that wig or those extensions or whatever is because that's what you want to do, right? That's something you enjoy doing. You like how it looks, right? If black men disappeared tomorrow, you'd still be doing it. Now, let's get back into the article about the situation in Senegal. Now, keep in mind, this wasn't a nationwide law. This was only in regards to the Grand Theater in Senegal, which is a major cultural center in West Africa, right? Where I'm sure they have, performances and cultural events at this theater, the Grand Theater in the capital of Senegal. So they said only for the staff, the women who work, and if you're performing in the Grand Theater, you have to embrace your natural hair. We're not wearing the wigs and the weaves and the bust down, the European beauty standard. We are embracing our Pan-African values, our cultural heritage. We are embracing that at the Grand Theater of Senegal. So that was a law passed by the Ministry of Culture, and the women revolted. The women broke out in rebellion. The women, listen, they said, nah, we ain't going for it. Now let's jump back into the article. Feminist groups and civil society leaders said the memo reflected broader concerns about gender inequality in Senegal, especially given the low number of women in President Diomaye Faye's administration, 4 out of 25, and the removal of the Ministry of Women. So listen. So the Ministry of Culture passed this law, like I said, embrace your natural hair, the staff in the Grand Theater of Senegal. And for whatever reason, they received backlash, right? And the women said, listen, this is, gender inequality. There's not enough women part of the administration, but that's not even part of the conversation. The conversation is about natural hair and the Grand Theater of Senegal, which is a major cultural center on the continent, right? And now they deflecting the conversation and talking about how many women are in the administration. We could talk about that at a different time, but that's not really the topic of discussion right here, right? We're talking about embracing our beauty standards and promoting our values, and you're talking to me about how many women are serving in the cabinet. I mean, this is you changing the conversation. And unfortunately, that's typically what happens when we have this discussion. They're going to deflect and change the conversation. Now we're having a whole different topic. Now we're not even talking about the original topic. But anyway, let's continue. Many social media users criticized the ban as sexist, invasive, and paternalistic. You see, so when the black man doesn't embrace the natural hair, he doesn't love himself. Look at your mama, look at your grandmama. But when the black man does embrace the natural hair, he's a paternalistic, sexist, misogynist. Brother, let's continue. One of the most widely shared responses came from Henriette Condé, a feminist analyst and public intellectual, who questioned the logic and intent by the ban in a viral social media post saying, as for hair grafts and wigs, should we remind the director that these are aesthetic choices and sometimes economic and practical? Are we forbidding men from shaving their heads to hide their baldness, from wearing false collars to lengthen their necks? Listen, I thought you wanted black men to embrace the natural hair, right? But now all of a sudden, once he does that, now he's under attack. That's crazy, because I knew it was never about black men from the beginning, and I always said that. That's why I always push back against that. Now me, I have no problem with natural hair. I love it. Listen, no problem, no issue. But typically, my voice gets drowned out because they say, it's because of black men. Black men don't like it. Black men don't appreciate it. But when a black man does appreciate it, once you have actually, black men in government actually putting laws on the books in regards to it, now all of a sudden he's misogynistic, he's paternalistic, he doesn't have enough women in the cabinet. Now we deflecting and changing the conversation. So now, as you can see, it was never about black men. It was never about black men. Black men were made to be the scapegoat, of course, but it was never about black men. Because if it was, then this would not be receiving backlash. It would be embraced. It would be embraced as a breakthrough revolutionary law. Now let's continue. Supporters of the now canceled ban, though in the minority, argue that the director's intention was rooted in cultural pride and not oppression. The director himself defended the memo as part of a broader mission to restore African dignity and African identity, particularly in the art sector, which he believes has been overly influenced by Eurocentric beauty standards. So listen, the director at the Grand Theater of Senegal, he was actually doing what the women said they wanted black men to do. Embrace our beauty standards. Embrace black women's natural hair, right? They said if black men appreciate it, then they'll embrace it as well, right? So now we have black men in government who have maneuvered themselves into powerful positions to actually influence society and is actually doing what they said. And now he's receiving backlash to the point where he had to reverse the law in 24 hours because he was being slandered as a paternalistic, sexist misogynist who is trying to police women's bodies, right? That's crazy, brother. That is absolutely insane. But that's how you know it was never about black men from the beginning. It was never about black men, brother. It was never about black men. Black men were simply used as the pretext or the cover, right? Or the cop out. But it was never about us, man. It was never about us. Like I said, you could have black men screaming from the rooftops, we love natural hair, we love it. Listen, they gonna say, oh, no, you don't. So yeah, but anyways, I wanna switch lanes real quick and talk about the Senegalese leadership, right? Now, the Senegalese brothers, as you know, this is actually right in line with their administration. When I look at these guys, they're wearing the cultural attire of their forefathers, right? They're living the lifestyle of their forefathers, right? Both of them got 2 beautiful wives, beautiful children. So these are men who are in tune with their cultural heritage and their origin. So I'm not surprised that this rule was passed in the Grand Theater of Senegal, especially, like I said, this is a major cultural center in Senegal and West Africa in general. So of course it makes sense to, yes, embrace our natural hair, embrace our natural image when you are in the Grand Theater of Senegal, one of our cultural centers. But even in the cultural center, they receive backlash. So now we have to have a deeper conversation because clearly, obviously, it's not about black men. You can't blame black men for this right here. So something deeper is going down. And my thing is this, if the intention of the rule was to uphold African values and culture and identity, then you should have stood tall, right? The director, the minister of culture, you should have stood on what you believed in, right? Because if you folded in 24 hours against the women, then I know for a fact this administration is not going to stand tall in front of the French government. Nah. If you can't stand tall in front of the woman, then I know for a fact you're not going to stand tall when you face to face against Emmanuel Macron having negotiation and conversation. No, you're not going to stand tall against the French government, against the imperialists, against the adversary, if you can't stand tall against the women in your own country, brother. I'm sorry to tell you. If it was me, if I was the minister of culture, I'm standing tall on my decision. Listen, it is what it is. You better take the wig off before you step into the theater, and you can put it back on when you go back home. But in the theater, no, we are embracing our beauty standards. We are embracing our culture and heritage, and that's what it is. The Grand Theater of Senegal, a major respected cultural center, that makes total sense, right? If I was the minister of culture, I'm standing on that. You have to stand tall. You have to have conviction, because like I said, if you could fold in 24 hours because of the women, then I know for a fact Emmanuel Macron and the rest of the imperialists gonna have you folding like a lawn chair during negotiations. Now, anyways, man, it's your boy Nevercard. That's a link. 21 Cannons, first single, first track, video off the album. Pin comment at the top. Check it out. Link in the description. Subscribe to the Patreon, NTD 1814, and I'm gone. Peace. King of the North, and I feel like more weeds. Took a few losses, I'm back on my feet. Selling they soul for trinkets and cash. Right on the front like the leader from Chad. Feel like a see me, I feel like I'm Idris. Walking on gold, I handle my business. Honor, integrity, money, and power. Told me she love me, she want me in power. Told her I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Told her come over, come see me in person. Told her come over, I'm sick of the talking. Don't got no time cause that money be calling. Working all night and I'm up in the morning. Love when I call her, she love my attention. Body and soul, I'm truly protected. Back on that road and big body business. Told her I love her, I told her she mine. Get in that passenger seat, we gon' ride. Back on my mission, that money been stacking. Came from the bottom, I'm steady expanding. Run to the check and I pull up and vanish. Grabbing the neck from the back when I smash. Don't need no question, they know it's official. Cut from the cloth and my life ain't no fiction. Ride for the scene like I'm army enlist. Gotta stay focused, I'm moving deliberate. Heart of a king and my heart full of pain. Look at my neck and it's flooded with chains. And I got Desaline blood in my veins. Enemy watching, I stay with a flame. Keep it 100, they know how we move. Black on black beam, interior blue. How you gon' leave me? I told you I love you. Pain in my heart, you knew I was trouble. Enemy watching, they wanna invade it. Hoping my brothers don't never betray us. Been on my mind and I hope I can save us. Look at my flaws, I don't see perfection. But I'm authentic, I'm whipping the 7. Like it's a phantom, I'm still manifesting. Gotta get money, I gotta get paid. Stay on my toes when I'm ducking these snakes. Go to my wrist and the queen on my arm. Feeling my energy, loving my charm. Might go put Desaline face on a piece. Ready for war, that's how you get peace. Know I'm protected, I'm ready for action. When I walk in, I need 21 cannons. Secret location, I'm up in the palace. One of a kind and she loving my manners. One of a kind and I'm telling the truth. His and her Bentleys, I gotta get to. Feeling like future, we never gon' lose. Feeling like Garvey, I'm running the block. Entering off firm and I'm letting off shots. King of the North and I'm up at the top. How you gon' leave me? I told you I love you. Pain in my heart and you knew I was trouble. Enemy watching, they wanna invade it. Hoping my brothers don't never betray us. Been on my mind and I hope I can save us. Look at my flaws, I don't see